How big a wake-up has it been?
Welcome to WatchMojo UK, and today we're counting down our picks for the most cringeworthy interactions between politicians and the press.
Okay, you can't accuse me both of rushing it and mid-May, didn't you, Health Secretary?
Number 20, Fields of Wheat.
What's the naughtiest thing you ever did?
Oh, goodness me.
Theresa May had a pretty disastrous term as Prime Minister. After being unable to get a Brexit deal through Parliament, she called an impromptu general election to increase her majority, but it failed spectacularly.
Well, I suppose gosh, do you know, I'm not quite sure.
Well, there must have been a moment.
Nobody's ever perfectly behaved, are they?
A few days before this decision, she was asked by ITV to confess her naughtiest sin. She hilariously responded with the time she used to irritate farmers by running through their land.
I have to confess, when me and my friends sort of used to run through the fields of wheat, the farmers weren't too pleased about that.
It drew widespread backlash for being so tame, especially since she'd done so many more immoral things as Prime Minister. May later said her answer was one of the silliest things she ever did.
But I didn't realise that it ran so deep. He'd be happy to see people locked up for naughtily running through a field of wheat.
Number 19, the strikes are wrong.
These strikes are wrong at a time when negotiations are still going on. But parents and the public have been let down by both sides because the government has acted in a reckless and provocative manner.
The Labour Party should fundamentally support the majority of workers' strikes, given their nature. Back in 2011, when Ed Miliband was leader of the opposition, he claimed to be against some strikes. It earned a lot of backlash from Labour supporters, but it became even more embarrassing when he kept repeating the same statement in an interview.
Aren't you giving us more leadership as a leader of the Labour movement?
At a time when negotiations are still going on, I do believe these strikes are wrong.
It made him appear cold and robotic, as if he hadn't formed his own opinion on the matter and was just regurgitating a line his PR team had given him. The interview was handled in such a reckless and provocative manner that it's been remembered far longer than Miliband hoped.
Are there negotiations in good faith, would you say?
What I say is that the strikes are wrong when negotiations are still going on, but the government has acted in a reckless and provocative manner.
Number 18, Goodwin's AI tendencies.
To quote you, you said AI has basically written large parts of this book and much of it. So last night, I found myself in the curious position of uploading my entire manuscript to about 5 AI detection sites. Now let's start with the best one in the world, ZeroGPT.
This Reform politician and author has drawn himself a bunch of criticism over the years. In recent years, he's made a fool of himself after being accused of using ChatGPT to write his newest book.
You've called me MattGPT. I ran it through ChatGPT. Do you want to know what ChatGPT says?
What did ChatGPT?
It said this does not read like an AI-written book.
It included a ton of mistakes that could only be explained as AI hallucinations, such as made-up quotes and figures.
Matthew, we've got the rules of the debate. I know you like using AI. You've used AI to try and prove that you didn't use AI.
What do you think about the 2.2%?
This was brought up by Andy 12s on GB News, and Goodwin's defence was comically poor. To disprove these claims, he opted to ask ChatGPT to check it for AI. Goodwin failed to see the irony, but Telvs and the majority of viewers did not.
Name them. Name them, Matthew. Or do you need to get on ChatGPT to find the world's leading demography?
Number 17, Hancock's school meals.
Do you regret now, given how glad you are that it's now happening, do you regret voting against it?
Well, of course, I'm pleased that we're making sure that...
that wasn't the question.
Few politicians become the centre of as many scandals as Matt Hancock, former health secretary during COVID. This led him to be interviewed on Good Morning Britain a few times. In 2021, host Morgan asked him why he'd done a complete 180 on free school meals.
My question for you is, given how glad you now are that it's happening, do you regret voting against it? It's a yes or no.
Well, as I say, I'm really glad that it's happening now.
But do you regret it? Do you regret voting against it?
The year prior, he'd voted against it, but now he seemed to support it. When asked if he felt guilty about his voting decision, Hancock writhed and squirmed, doing everything possible to avoid answering the question. It's a classic example of a politician trying anything to earn mass appeal, then failing miserably.
So you regret voting against it?
I'm really glad it's been resolved and we've sorted it out. And I'm going to use my own words to describe my own feelings on this one.
So you won't answer the question?
Number 16, Farage's takeaway.
I am a bit sad.
Why are you sad?
Because Kerry Smith is a rough diamond. He's a council house boy from the East End of London.
Another extremely divisive politician is Farage, originally a Conservative, then the leader of UKIP and subsequently Reform. In 2014, the UKIP party came under fire after Kerry Smith, a parliamentary candidate, was caught saying offensive things. They were specifically homophobic and xenophobic slurs.
If you and your mates are going out for a Chinese, what do you say you're going for?
This led to Smith quitting the party, which upset Farage, who called him a rough diamond. Additionally, in an LBC interview, he defended Smith's use of the slurs, claiming that they weren't used maliciously, but the press disagreed.
Kerry himself said that he had used language that Del Boy used to use on Only Fools and Horses, and nobody objected then.
Many people found the interview ironic, with him asking what people would call a Chinese takeaway with their friends. For most of us, it's simply Chinese takeaway, like he just said.
The next sentence he was saying how good another candidate was and the fact he was gay would be an asset to the party.
Number 15, Ian Hislop versus Jake Berry.
The fact that it takes an ITV drama and suddenly, having been told their entire campaigning lives, this is very difficult, you'll have to go in front of a judge, this is very, very expensive, oh, this morning it isn't, tomorrow we'll pass legislation and you're all exonerated.
As editor of Private Eye, Hislop is one of the UK's most famous political satirists. This has led him to clash with an abundance of political figures, such as Jake Berry, who, like many Tories, has defected to Reform.
I mean, it is absolutely fatuous for this government to claim, hey, we're really acting now. Did nothing the whole time.
On Robert Peston's talk show, Hislop criticised Berry for the government's delayed action regarding the post office scandal. It had been ongoing for years, but the government only stepped in after a popular dramatisation. Seeing Hislop rip into him with such skill is satisfying to see, especially when Berry's responses only dig his hole deeper.
We do control this, they're massive taxpayer-funded pensions. We do have control of that, and we can pass an emergency piece of legislation, a parliamentary pardon. Why can't we do the same thing with their pensions?
Well, why couldn't you do it so long ago?
Number 14, Mr. Bloom's racism accusation.
Now, Mr. Bloom, what do you make of the front cover of this, the conference brochure with no black faces on it?
After you interviewed.
What a racist comment is that?
Godfrey Bloom was a member of UKIP until 2013, as he was so controversial that they withdrew the whip from him. One of his most infamous moments came when journalist Michael Crick asked him why his brochure didn't feature any people of colour.
How dare you? That's an appalling thing to say. You're picking people out for the colour of their skin. You disgust me. Get out of my way.
Bloom decided to flip the question on its head, calling him a racist for noticing the absence of diversity.
There aren't any black people. And you've checked out the colour of people's faces. Disgraceful. You're disgraceful.
Bloom also whacked him with the brochure, then got his whip withdrawn shortly after. It wasn't only because of the Crick situation, but also because he threatened another journalist, then called all the women at a later conference an exceedingly misogynistic term.
Was there a single woman in there that didn't laugh at the joke, you sad little man?
Number 13, Morgan and Alex Jones.
Listen,
do you know what...
Do you have a bodyguard?
Alex.
Why do you have bodyguards?
I don't have a bodyguard.
Yeah, I've seen you on the news with them. Don't you want to protect your wife from hoodlums, or you want to call the police?
American conspiracy theorist Alex Jones is easily one of the most infamous internet personalities. In 2013, he came on Piers Morgan's talk show to discuss America's firearm problem. As Morgan states, it ended up being one of the greatest advertisements for gun control ever, with Jones becoming incredibly unhinged.
Let me say something.
There's no metal shark in the water.
The same type of weapon was used in the last three
and that's right.
mass shootings.
And Hitler used semi-autos to kill people.
Why would you
and
not?
So did Mao.
Why would you?
Why is the government arming to the teeth against us?
Alex, I don't
What about Fast and Furious?
Alex.
Jones is constantly shouting over Morgan, which is surprising given that Piers is usually the loudest in the room. He can barely get a word in, with the host getting hilariously fed up by the end. Morgan can't even do his outro without Jones shouting and poking him.
Who do you believe was behind 9/11?
Oh, I absolutely know. I have the police on CNN saying, get back, they're going to blow up 7. I have BBC reporting.
Who do you believe was behind
I have the proof. I heard them on CBS Radio.
Number 12, Mayor Brand.
Looking at some passages, what were the relevant passages for you?
All right. Thank you for asking me.
Thank you. That didn't hurt, did it?
A little bit.
Another deeply unpopular figure that Morgan humiliated is Russell Brand. Well, we have to admit, Brand did all of the work for him. Brand is better known as an actor, but now he's trying to become London's mayor.
It's pretty... Is this?
He discussed this on Morgan's talk show, but spent most of the time sifting for Bible passages, rather than making coherent points. This led to the longest we've ever seen Piers Morgan quiet, and it's comedy gold.
This is from Isaiah. Excuse me.
It feels like a scene straight from an awkward sitcom, except it's real. It's impossible not to lose it when Piers turns to the camera and stares, as if he's aware of how viral this bit will become. Number 11, Shapiro and Neil.
Well, okay, a couple of things. One, I'm not sure, I mean, frankly, I don't know whether are you an objective journalist or are you an opinion journalist?
I'm a journalist that asks questions.
Both American commentator Ben Shapiro and British journalist Andrew Neil are conservatives. The former has a reputation for destroying interviewers, but when pitted against Neil, he ended up walking away the fool. Shapiro disliked Neil's questions, which he asserted weren't reflective of his own personal ideologies.
You know, honestly, this is a giant waste of time, in the sense that the entire interview is designed for you to shout slogans or old things that I've said at me. I don't see how this forwards the debate. You talk about undermining the public discourse.
Neil defended himself by saying that if Shapiro had the opposite opinion, he'd get inverted questions, but thought it was left-leaning bias. This led him to become increasingly agitated, calling Neil a lefty until he eventually exploded and walked off. After cooling down, Shapiro realized he'd overreacted, and apologized to Neil on Twitter.
You know, I'm not inclined to continue an interview with a person as badly motivated as you as an interviewer, so I think we're done here. I appreciate your time, sir.
All right,
Thank you so much.
Thank you for your time and for showing that anger is not part of American political discourse.
Number 10, Diane Abbott on LBC.
And the tax cut was specifically identifying to pay for the 10,000 policemen is the cuts in capital gains tax.
Policemen, so we can't have police women then.
As hard as it may be to believe, politicians are all human and make mistakes like the rest of us. Ours usually aren't as publicised. Unlike Diane Abbott's failure to remember figures on LBC, the former Labour MP promised they'd be introducing 10,000 more police officers, but amusingly said it would only cost £300,000.
Well, if we recruit the 10,000 police men and women over a 4-year period, we believe it'll be about £300,000.
You don't have to know the average wage of an officer to instantly think it's an outlandishly small sum, as that's only £30 per person. Later she tried and failed to correct herself, saying the total was closer to 80 million. Corbyn stepped in and gave the right number, which was about 300 million. So she was only off by about 299.7 million.
£300,000?
Sorry,
10,000 police officers? What are you paying them?
No, I mean, sorry.
Number 9. How do you sleep at night?
Well, honestly, thank you so much for coming.
It's been a pleasure.
Really lovely to come on. Wonderful,
really
wonderful
nice.
evening. Just very quickly, how on earth do you sleep at night?
David Cameron is probably best known for calling a Brexit vote, then resigning when it didn't go his way. During his time as PM, he was invited onto The One Show. The majority of the interview wasn't noteworthy, but at the last moment, host Matt Baker asked him a brutal question. Co-host Alex Jones and Cameron himself are completely taken aback, but the PM manages to give an innocent answer, ignoring Baker's savagery.
I've always been able to sleep okay, actually. I find if you work hard during the day, try and get your stuff done, and then I try and put it behind you, because at the end of the day, if you're exhausted, you'll make rotten decisions. So you've got to get a good night's sleep.
It quickly led Baker to becoming adored by the internet, but not everyone was convinced of his ruthless intentions. Many believed it was a genuine, innocent question about how he relaxes, but that's up for interpretation.
That's the most important thing of all, winning the trust of people that have put their trust in us, many of them for the first time, and Boris will have my full support as he does that.
Well, I don't know why he's talking to a tree.
Number 8, Rishi Sunak's D-Day blunder.
Sorry to
I'm well,
have
thanks. No, not at all. I know you've been in Normandy.
Yeah, it all just ran over. It was incredible, but it just ran over everything.
I'm sure it was.
So apologies for keeping you.
Another highly divisive Prime Minister is Rishi Sunak, who was voted into power by virtually no one. During his last few months in office, he came under fire for missing a major part of D-Day commemorations. Rather than staying in Normandy before the International Leaders event, he opted to head back to London and get interviewed by ITV.
On reflection, that was a mistake and I apologise. I think it's important though, given the enormity of the sacrifice made, that we don't politicise this. The focus should rightly be on the veterans.
This decision to abandon D-Day got him a ton of criticism from the press. It wasn't exactly a stellar interview either. He infamously admitted to having a hard time growing up without Sky TV, which generated further backlash, as it implies he thinks Sky TV is a necessity.
Like lots of people, there'll be all sorts of things that I would have wanted as a kid that I couldn't have, right? Famously, Sky TV. So that was something that we never had growing up, actually.
Number 7. Howard and Paxman.
Did you threaten to overrule him? I was not entitled to instruct Derek Lewis, and I did not instruct him. And Did you threaten to overrule him? The truth of the matter is that Mr. Marriott was not suspended.
Politicians are usually masters of taking ages to answer questions, without saying anything meaningful at all. Unfortunately for Michael Howard, he wasn't proficient at this skill. This led to his groundbreakingly cringe-inducing interview with Jeremy Paxman in 1997.
Did you threaten to overrule him? I did not overrule Derek Lewis. Did you threaten to overrule him? I took advice on what I could or could not do.
Paxman asked him the same question 12 times, and every time Howard refused to answer. Usually, an interviewer would move on and ask another question, but Paxman didn't have the patience for that. It's been almost 3 decades since this interview, and it's still uproarious. Later in 2004, the two reunited, and Howard finally answered, claiming that he didn't.
Did you threaten to overrule him? Detail before the House of Commons. I note you're not answering the question whether you threatened to overrule him.
Number 6. Farage's Putin praise.
That the stories of Columbine don't matter. All they're being told are the bad things that we did in our history.
Another one of Farage's long line of controversies is his affection for Vladimir Putin. In 2014, he was interviewed by GQ magazine, where he was asked who his favourite world leader was. Rather than saying someone who wasn't often accused of being a dictator, something most British people oppose, he said Putin. He even called the ex-KGB officer brilliant for how he prevented Western intervention in al-Assad's Syria. This interview has aged terribly on account of recent reform scandals. Specifically, in 2025, the former party leader, Nathan Gill, was imprisoned for accepting bribes from pro-Russian parties to publicly support the country, despite their contentious invasion of Ukraine. Number 5. Hancock and Burley.
The problem is, you've rushed it forward, haven't you? Because you want to take the headlines away from Dominic Cummings, so you brought it forward. It should have been 1st of June when the app is being launched at the same time.
The Tory former health secretary makes it onto our list a second time, highlighting just how awful he is at interviews. When being questioned by Sky News host Kay Burley, the topic of disastrous COVID track and trace apps came up.
It's priceless, Kay. I'm normally accused of delaying these things and bringing them in too slowly.
Rather than treating it like a serious matter, on account of lives being at stake due to his decisions, he burst into laughter. Burley didn't hesitate to point out how insensitive he was being. It wasn't even Hancock's only poor interview that week. A few days earlier, he was asked 6 times about whether Dominic Cummings did the right thing by ignoring COVID restrictions. Every time, Hancock refused to comment.
I suppose many of my viewers will think it's not a laughing matter.
Yes, well, I can't quite work out whether you're telling me that I've gone too slow or too fast. I think we've gone it.
Number 4. Chloe Smith and Paxman.
Is it hard for you to defend a policy you don't agree with?
It's not that, I'm afraid, Jeremy. Nice question. I do agree with it.
From 2009 until 2024, Norwich North was the seat of Conservative MP Chloe Smith. It's impressive how she kept this seat so long after her catastrophic interview with Jeremy Paxman in 2012.
All right, in May you said, it is not certain that cutting fuel duty would have a positive effect on families or businesses. So what's happened?
In fairness, she was appearing in place of the far more experienced George Osborne, who was accused of hiding. This was because Osborne had scrapped the fuel duty increase, despite considering it for a while. It turned into one of the most humiliating interviews in history, with Smith appearing completely unprepared for Paxman's relentless style. Hopefully, Smith invested more in her PR team after this blunder.
So is this some sort of joke? I mean, how can you possibly have as a #1 priority cutting the deficit when you choose to spend and underspend in funding a tax cut or failure to implement a tax rise which was scheduled?
Number 3, Fergie walks out.
I'm going to take 5 minutes.
I'm sorry?
No, nothing. I'm just going to take 5 minutes.
Sarah Ferguson, the former wife of disgraced royal Andrew Mountbatten Windsor, has become almost as controversial as her ex. Long before they were in the spotlight for their alleged ties to Jeffrey Epstein, Fergie walked out of 60 Minutes after being asked about her scandals.
Did you take the money? At one stage you had $40,000 cash sitting in front of you. Did you take it?
Absolutely, yes. And it was given to me and I got it in the car and then returned it straight away.
Once the scandal broke?
Reporter Michael Escher presented her with footage of herself accepting money to access Andrew. Apparently, they'd agreed that nothing was off limits beforehand, but it seems Fergie missed that memo. She insisted they delete her response, but it's now available online for all to see. It made her so irate that she stormed off.
Delete that bit. John, can you just delete it, please, that bit? Because I don't want to go down this...
Duchess, I'm asking very fair questions.
Number 2, Farage on RTE.
But I hope you enjoy a few pints with the lads tonight. Up the rah!
In 2021, Farage realised he could make some extra cash with a Cameo account. This allows people to pay him money for clips of him saying whatever they want. Most politicians would draw the line somewhere if they did this, but not Nigel. He didn't censor himself at all.
Up the rah, Nigel. I mean, I know that you said sorry. I know you get 87 quid. It's entirely within your rights to do that. But come on.
This resulted in people paying him to say some extremely offensive things.
I think people will be entertained, Nigel, to hear you talking about this.
One included him chanting a slogan supporting the IRA. This resulted in him being interviewed by Claire Byrne on RTE, a confrontation that made Farage quiver like a schoolboy being told off by a teacher.
I know that you apologised for the birthday greeting which you delivered in the last couple of days, but I want people to see just how much you know about the history and culture on this island.
Number 1, Andrew's disaster.
Trousers.
Taking our top spot is Fergie's ex-husband, the former Duke of York, who stunned the globe with a new level of tanking an interview. Unfortunately, BBC doesn't want people to share the actual footage, so we'll have to show you the Netflix version instead. In 2019, he was interviewed by Emily Maitlis regarding his supposed association with Jeffrey Epstein.
As you say, it all goes back to your friendship with Jeffrey Epstein.
They likely hoped it would save Andrew from further scandal, but it had the opposite effect. A few months later, he was withdrawn from public roles, and in 2025, he was stripped of all titles and honours.
Quite often, if I was in the United States and doing things and he wasn't there, he'd say, "Why don't you come and use my houses?" And I said, "That's very kind, thank you very much indeed."
Confusingly, Andrew came away thinking he'd done a great job, a sentiment literally no one agreed with. In early 2026, Andrew was arrested, and he's likely wondered whether this would have been avoided had he not been interviewed.
We now know that. At the time, there was no indication to me or anybody else that that's what he was doing.
We love to create varied content, so if there are any topics you'd like to see us cover, don't hesitate to let us know down in the comments below.